Excellent. Today we're joined by Michael Gershe. He's got an interesting story, and I thought we'd talk with him today and find out a little bit more about what makes Michael tick. So to start with, I know you've written a book and you also do a lot of talks. Yes, that's it. Would you like to start by telling us a little bit about that? What's your endeavor? Why did you do it? And how has it affected your life?
Well, my story is a little bit different than anyone else. My story began when I was 8 weeks old, when my family and I were hit by a drunk driver in 1970. I was just a little infant, about 2 months old, and my mom unfortunately did not survive that car crash. She was 28 years old, and as for me, nearly every bone in my body was broken. My skull was completely fractured from one side of my head to the other. So the fact I am with you today is nothing short of a miracle. My injuries were so severe, I had to be life flighted to another hospital in New York. And my aunt said she lost count of how many blood transfusions I received to stay alive. And somehow I'm still here. I grew up to be a competitive swimmer. You would think with a baby, with all those bones being broken, when they grew up somewhat normal, even with a fractured skull. I think I'm fine. My friends would say I may have a little bit of brain damage, but they're not here. They can't judge. But I grew up to be a competitive swimmer. For college, it became the only thing I really wanted to do in life was be a comedian. So I've been doing that for 30 years. And I created a program called The Magic of Life when I was in grad school that shares my story. So there's humor involved along with an emotional, powerful story because I didn't want other families going through what we went through. And I couldn't let my mother's death be for nothing. So someone had to stand up for her. So and as you know, tragedy, grief gave me purpose for her death. And over 30 or so years, speaking at high schools, colleges, military bases, and DUI courts. I've had a program with the Stoke Court in Northeast Ohio for 11 years. They had a little bit of a change of the court, so I haven't done it the past year. Hopefully, I'll get back to it. But speaking to DUI offenders has been one of the most rewarding audiences of my entire life because I never thought I would speak in front of them ever. I always saw them as the enemy. And then I had a chance to talk in front of them, and it really changed me as much as it changed them. And it's been pretty powerful. I mean, what do you say when a 19-year-old girl walks out and says, "Thank you for making me realize my son needs me more than alcohol"? And if you can make someone laugh and make a difference in someone's life, then I think you're doing something pretty special. And I've been grateful and blessed to be able to share my story to make a difference.
Wonderful. Now, I believe you also have a day job at Kent State, right?
Yes, I am the senior advisor for the professional pilot program at Kent State University. I've been at the university about 25 and a half years. So I advise those students who want to be commercial pilots or even fly corporate. They don't let me touch the controls in their front seat, but I can sit in the back and watch. So that's kind of fun to do. So it allows me to see what they do and learn, and it's kind of fun. Sometimes I get to take photos. It's one of the things I do, a photographer, comedian, speaker, author, as we said. So it's been pretty fascinating to be a small part of their college career and watch them grow as not only people but pilots, and future pilots. So it's fun.
Have you any ambition to become a pilot yourself?
No, not at all. Let me just go for the ride, and it's better for me that way.
Yeah, I took pilot lessons at a company I was working for a number of years ago, back in the 80s, but I stopped it when they stopped paying for the lessons. But
Right?
I was just about the point to, take my solo flight when that got interrupted. But good for you and get a chance to see all the people and get up in the air.
Right.
Must be fun. So tell me, talk a little bit about your comedy ventures. How does it go? What kind of places do you play at? What are your audiences like? What's your best joke?
They're all good questions. I started as a kid doing magic. That's why the program is really the magic of life because I used to do magic in it. But I always wanted to be a comedian ever since I was, little. Harry Anderson was a huge impact, Seinfeld, Rodney Dangerfield, all the greats. And I knew that's the step I wanted to go into, and I didn't start doing it until I was in grad school. and just kind of took off. And not going to grad school and then telling your dad you want to be a comedian right afterwards isn't always the best plan in the world, but he was very supportive, and I was very blessed to have a dad that I think with my background in kneeling, almost dying, I think my relationship with him was a little bit different in terms of you're lucky to be alive. Let's go after your dreams. And the only thing he ever said was make a lot of money and do something you really enjoy. And of course, I went into education. So one out of two isn't bad, but the program allows me to do stand up in it. So whether it's a high school, college, but usually it's comedy club. Sometimes it could be a winery, it could be a lodge, it could be a fundraiser for cancer. It just really depends in terms of who books, but usually it's a comedy club or a private show
So how
for.
often do you perform?
Sometimes it could be a few times a month. Sometimes it could be once a month. So it just varies in terms of how much I want to do it. Because even working with Kent, sometimes you just want a weekend off and go do photography or something. So I don't like, especially the older I get, I don't like to be on the go 24/7. You work and then you gotta drive 2 or 3 hours on a Friday and Saturday, and I just don't have that type of energy anymore. So if it's local or every quite often, then that's fine. I have a lot of favorite jokes, so it all depends. My current favorite joke is talking about my dad and how I'm turning into my father, and I think we all turn into our parents, and even my signature looks like my father's because I used to forge it a lot as a kid. Not on checks, don't judge me now, but on report cards, because believe it or not, I would get D's and F's. And my teacher would say, "Here, Michael, here's your report card. Make sure your dad sees it, signs it, and bring it back tomorrow." I'm like, "Tomorrow? You'll have it back after lunch." So that's one of my favorite ones to do. And I have so many over the years. It just depends.
Okay. I know photography is definitely a hobby of yours. What do you enjoy about photography?
Almost everything. It's like comedy or speaking. I love every aspect of it because seeing through the viewfinder, I want to capture what I see through my eye and get that emotion or spirit. I'm not a people photographer, so whether it's a waterfall or nature or something like that, a sunset. Now we have the fall leaves, so I want to capture that. So it's bringing that to life and then having people enjoy it. It's no different than writing a joke and someone laughing at it. I want to have that same bond or relationship with someone who's looking at the photo, but also the creative process and getting the settings right. Sometimes you got to do a little bit of math, which could be a pain, but it's something about being out in nature and being and having that alone time, and that's kind of my Michael time is being out there. So you're out there with your camera and by yourself, and it's a lot of fun. And you hope, as my dad would say, you take enough photos, you'll get one or two good ones. So that's always my goal. But yeah, I love just the whole creative process and then having people like it. And if they buy a photo, even better.
I know I've seen you do so many photos of waterfalls, and I know I introduced you to that one friend of mine, Jack McGorry. He's the other guy who he's the only person I've seen who puts more pictures of waterfalls on Facebook than you do.
Oh, can't help it.
But yeah, Jack's an amazing guy. He and I started on a trip around the world back in the 70s. And I know when we got to Thailand, I was a little tired of traveling at that point because it'd been many months. And he decided from that point he wanted to go down to Australia and work for a while before he came back home. So I just kept on going west. So I was gone about 6.5 months, and he was gone 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
I didn't want to be gone that long. So, but he's had so many amazing photos. If you ever get on there, go to his site, drill down to a little bit and look at some of the photographs that he has out there. He's taken all these trips where he's just got amazing photos of people like in Ethiopia, Burma, China, Peru, the Amazon. He's he's been traveling all over the world. He used to work as a house painter in Ithaca, New York, which is full of wooden houses, but he only does the outside. So during the wintertime, when it's all snowing, he goes somewhere warm and travel and take photos, and then come back in
That's
spring and
awesome.
resume his business.
That's really cool to do.
Now I know you. So how many pictures have you sold at this point? I know I've seen them online.
I don't even know. I think my biggest seller was the collage of the eclipse from last year.
So you do some amazing photographs of the moon and the eclipse and etc.
Right. Well, any chance I can moon people, I'm kind of happy. And legally. So the moon's always fun, getting the settings but the eclipse was very cool. So I probably sold the most of those. How many, I don't know. Some people buy pictures of the eagles that I post, and that's fun. There's something magical about seeing a bald eagle in nature, and either they're flying or their nest or with their kids. So I would say between the eclipse, some waterfalls, and the eagles, those are probably my best sellers for photography.
So what endeavors are in your upcoming future that you can see doing? Anything different than what you're already doing, or
A nap. Well, unfortunately, I have to have shoulder surgery. That's coming up soon on Halloween. Recovering from that. A few more comedy shows later this year in November. I have a college conference to go to for the Magical Life program where I present like 10 minutes of it, and then hopefully you get booked. Hopefully doing maybe a follow-up to this book too, and we'll see. People, it took me 20 years to write it. And of course, when I finish it, people go, "Well, when are you going to start working on your next one?" I'm like, "Well, I think I've said enough in this." So I've jotted down ideas and an outline, so that might be something I'll start too. But more photography, more comedy, and just every day I wake up, I'm blessed. I know that from knowing my past, and anything I could do to make a difference, whether in this sharing your story to save lives, is fuels me, and it's part of my DNA. And if we could continue to do that, then I'm pretty happy.
yeah, one of the things I've done in mine, I started it probably about 4 years ago or so, is now I start passing out these cards. So it has a picture of my wife on the front,
Yeah,
a couple pictures of the crash on the back, and then a place to when I do my presentation, I ask if they'd be willing to not drive when they shouldn't for a year. And if they would, raise their hands. Of course, because of peer pressure, everybody raises their hands. And I have them take the card, write a date on it for a year out. And if they make it to that, send me an email and let me know. And every once in a while, I get an email back, and it's very gratifying to see that. And I get to hear different stories and what it means, but I also tell them to put the card somewhere where they'll see it if they're tempted to drive when they shouldn't.
right.
And it seems to be effective, at least for some people. You never know. You're trying to, you can't prove a negative. So there's no way to know how many things you prevented that didn't happen. But all you can do is try and hope to work on making a difference.
Yeah,
Right now I talk about every Friday afternoon, and it's not a big number, usually anywhere from 16 to 40 people.
okay. Well, that's still pretty good because if we reach them, then job well done. And when I did the DUI offenders, I had wristbands, and one guy still emails me once in a while, and I think he's hasn't taken it off in about 4 or 5 years. Some people put it on the rearview mirror, some people in the car. But you're right, whatever works for them works. And, there's no rhyme or reason. And that's great with those cards because it works for those people. And to get that response back from a year, it means they were willing to change. And I think we both know, change is hard. And a lot of these people also need rehab or counseling to get through trauma for drinking because, it's just one of those things that they need help. And like you said, it's very gratifying to see when those hear the message and want to change, do it. And to be part of that process is awesome.
All right. So tell us another joke here that you that's your favorite.
I didn't always be telling jokes. Let's see. What's another short one I could tell you that's okay for everyone? Well, one of my favorites is well, I have a couple of ones in mind. I don't know. I don't know. One is colleges are starting to get out of control. Some colleges are starting to put the morning after pill in vending machines, which is a horrible idea because now how pissed off you get when a bag of chips gets stuck. So that was my closer for a very long, long time. Another one is I like to order pizza. but the pizza companies are getting out of control with all the notifications. You get a pizza or you get a notification when it's being prepped, when it's in the oven, when it's out of the oven, when it's on the way. It's like an Amber Alert for your pizza.
Okay.
So those are a couple ones that I think I could share. Not that I don't tell dirty jokes, but just ones that popped in my head for your audience and who are out there. So
Well, I appreciate that.
you're welcome.
All right. So, anything else you'd like to say?
How much time you got? Well, for people that want to see the program, I've done a couple of TED Talks, so they could go to the website, michaelgersh.com. The book is on there too. You can find it on Amazon. It's called The Magical Life, A Son's Story of Hope After Tragedy, Grief, a Speedo. Some of the profits will go to the foundation, the Magical Life Foundation, where we help kids impacted by drunk driving. It's for anyone that's been through tragedy or grief and just needs some help. Some people say they laughed and cried on the same page, and it was just another outlet to share my story and the fact that it can help so many. If you get one, you'll be helping us help other people too, and that's a beautiful thing to see and do.
Well, it's a special talent to tell a story with such meaning and depth and inject your humor into it as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's my superpower.
it is. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time
Thank you for
and
having me.
support your future endeavors. There's probably maybe 50 people to see this podcast, but who knows?
We'll blast it out there.
You may sell one or two books.
Right.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks.